Hello everyone. In this lecture, we will see how to match a complex value of load with a real value of characteristic impedance ZO by using single stub matching technique. Before going into the topic, let us see what are the problems associated with quarter wave transformer matching technique. In the last lecture, we have designed a quarter wave transformer to match 73 plus 42.5 ohms with 50 ohm characteristic impedance transmission line. In the previous lecture, we designed a quarter wave transformer to match 73 plus j times 42.5 ohm load to match a 50 ohm coaxial cable. In this process, the design of quarter wave transformer mainly consists of three steps. The first one is to find the length of the transmission line that we have to use to design a quarter wave transformer. This value we obtained from operating frequency or from wavelength. The second step is to find out the value of L so that the impedance that is observed at this point is real. Once you find out the value of impedance here, then we try to find out the unknown characteristic impedance of the quarter wave transformer ZO unknown, and that is 73.99 ohms. Now in order to implement this quarter wave transformer practically, I should make sure that the quarter wave transformer will have a characteristic impedance of ZO unknown equal to 73.99 ohms. Theoretically, it looks like an easy task, but in practice, changing the characteristic impedance of a transmission line involves changing the values of R, L, C and G values. That is the reason, even though designing a quarter wave transformer is an easy task, in practice we always try to eliminate this technique. That means the problem that you are going to face in a quarter wave transformer is to design a new transmission line whose characteristic impedance is equal to root over ZO ZL. This problem we eliminate by using a single stub matching technique. So now let me define stub first. A stub is just a transmission line which is either connected in series or parallel to the main transmission line to match an impedance with the characteristic impedance of the transmission line. As you can see in this diagram, the stub is connected as a parallel connection to the complex load. Now the question is how to accomplish matching between the load and the characteristic impedance of the transmission line by using a stub. I am going to take a transmission line and I will call that transmission line as main line, and this transmission line is having a characteristic impedance of ZO which is real, and it is connected to a load which is complex in nature. Anyway, in this case, ZO is not equal to ZL. Definitely there exists a reflection coefficient or reflected voltage in this direction due to the mismatch of load and characteristic impedance. The concept is very simple. Let us say a voltage wave is flowing in this direction. Once it reaches this node, the voltage wave now divided into two parts. Some part of the wave will move towards the load and some part of the wave will move towards this stub. Since the characteristic impedance of the transmission line is not equal to the load impedance, definitely there will be a reflected wave which will flow in opposite direction like this. The wave which is traveling in this direction, anyway, since we have a short circuit connection here, the complete wave is reflected back. Let us assume it's a lossless transmission line. Our job is to design the stub in such a way that the amplitude of the reflected wave from the short circuit connection must have the same amplitude that is reflected in this direction but opposite in phase, so that once the two waves will reach this point, the net reflected power will cancel out. As a result, there is no net reflected voltage in this direction. If there is no reflected voltage, then I can say ZO is matched with ZL. The same concept we can even explain in another way also. Since these two connections are parallel to each other, and in parallel connections the resultant value of conductance will be like G1 plus G2. Therefore, instead of resistances, for solving this single stub matching technique, I will use conductances. Now I will replace ZL with YL, which is load admittance. I will replace ZO with YO, which is characteristic admittance of the transmission line. In order to represent them on a Smith chart, I have to use normalized values. That's why instead of load, now I will use normalized load admittance, which is equal to YL by YO, where YL is load admittance and YO is characteristic admittance of the transmission line. We represented normalized load impedance as R plus J times X, where R is normalized resistance and X is normalized reactance. Now we define normalized load admittance, which is equal to G plus JB, where G is normalized conductance and B is normalized susceptance. Now we have to choose the value of LL, that is length of load from the stub, in such a way that the admittance offered by this line should be like 1 plus J times B. Then we have to choose the length of the stub in such a way that the admittance offered by this stub must be like minus J times B dash. This is also B dash. Now the net admittance due to these two branches at this point is normalized net admittance equal to 1 plus J times B dash minus J times B dash, that is equal to 1. If the net admittance is equal to 1, which means the admittance offered at that point by the characteristic admittance equal to 1. That implies I can say the net admittance which is available is equal to the characteristic admittance of the transmission line. And this equation looks like Z equal to ZO, which is nothing but our matched condition. This is how matching is achieved in stub matching technique. Since only one stub is used in this case, we call this method as single stub matching technique. Let us see how to design a single stub matching network on a transmission line to match complex value of load to a real value of characteristic impedance. Step 1. Find normalized load admittance. The normalized load admittance equal to YL by YO. Let us say its value is G plus JB, where G is conductance and B is the susceptance of the load. Since we are representing it in conductances and susceptances, we have to use the Smith chart in conductances and susceptances point of view. So this is a Smith chart. In the previous problems, we have used R circles and X circles. Now R circles has to be replaced with G circles, that is conductance circles, and X circles are replaced with B circles, that is susceptance circles. The outermost circle represents G equal to 0. As the value of G increases, the radius of the circle decreases and the center shifts towards the right side of the complex gamma plane. While coming to susceptance circles, this line represents X equal to 0. Now in our case, the same line represents B equal to 0. That I represented it here. For this B equal to 0 circle, the radius is infinity and the center is at 1 comma infinity. As the value of b increases, the radius of the b circles will reduce and the center shifts downwards in this direction. And for the value of b equal to infinity, the radius is equal to 0 and the center will be at 1 comma 0, that is a short circuit point. For impedance Smith chart, open circuit point is available here and short circuit point is available here. Since this is an admittance Smith chart, the short circuit point is available here and the open circuit point is available here. At this point, the value of G equal to infinity and the value of B is also infinity. Whereas at this point, the value of G is equal to 0 and the value of B equal to 0. Conductance is equal to 0 means it's an open circuit connection, right? Now let's come to our matching technique. First of all, we have to represent this G plus JB on the Smith chart. Let us say that point is P, that I represented it here, which is G plus J times B. Now I have to design a matching network for this load. As I told you, the impedance offered at this point due to this load must be 1 plus J times B dash, where 1 in this case is normalized conductance offered by the load, right? Therefore, I am going to draw a circle which represents normalized conductance equal to 1, that is G equal to 1. G equal to 1 means the circle that I have drawn here. Next I will draw a constant gamma circle with radius is equal to this part with a center at the center of the Smith chart. That is the green color circle that I am representing now. I can represent this circle as mod gamma equal to some constant value. And this circle represents constant conductance circles whose value is equal to 1. The point of intersection of these two curves, this is one point of intersection and this is one point of intersection. You can clearly see. At these 2 points, the normalized admittance is, here it will be like 1 plus J times some B dash, and this second point will be, the G circle remains as it is, 1 minus J times B dash. If this point is 1 minus J times B dash, the admittance offered by this stub must be minus J times B dash, right? Therefore, I am going to draw a constant susceptance circle which is passing through this point. And at the edge of the circle, you will be having the value of G as 0. That implies this point is minus J times B dash. Now our job is to calculate 2 lengths. One length is the distance from the load to the stub on the main transmission line. This is normalized load and this point is 1 plus J times B dash point. That means we need angle in between these two, and this length corresponds to length of the transmission line from load to stub, that is L suffix L. The second length that is required for us is L suffix S, that means length of the stub. Length of the stub means minus J times of B dash to the short circuit connection. Minus J times B dash is available here and the short circuit connection is available here. If you observe this, you are moving away from the generator. if you are moving away from the generator, then you have to choose anti-clockwise direction. Therefore, this angle corresponds to L suffix S. L suffix S. Once you find out these two lengths, you have to take the same transmission line and you have to connect it here so that this ZL and ZO are matched together without disturbing the actual transmission line. One question might come in your mind. What happens if I choose this admittance as 1 minus JB dash and this admittance as plus JB dash? Even in this case also, the normalized net admittance is equal to 1 minus JB dash plus JB dash will gives you 1. As a result, Y net equal to YO. Hence matching is achieved here. Let us say if you take 1 minus JB dash as your point. On the Smith chart, 1 minus JB dash available here and 1 plus JB dash is available here. Now you have to draw a constant B circle which is passing through this point, and the point of intersection on the edge of this Smith chart is plus JB dash. Now in this case, LL means this angle, L suffix capital L. Length of the stub LS means the angle from this point all the way to short circuit connection here. Since on the transmission line we are moving away from the generator, therefore this angle is L suffix S. If you design a single stub matching network by using transmission line equations, it requires a lot of mathematical analysis and calculations. Whereas if you do the same by using a Smith chart, definitely it is going to consume very less time as well as an easy task. In this process, the characteristic impedance of the transmission line or the characteristic admittance is not changed. Also, we don't require any new value of characteristic impedance to design a stub. This is the advantage with a single stub matching technique over a quarter wave transformer in the previous case. However, single stub matching is a very excellent technique, but there is a minor drawback for this matching technique. The drawback is if the value of load changes, then the corresponding values of distance between load and the stub point and the length of the stub will change. If the length of the stub changes, there is no problem for us because since we are increasing the length of the stub like this, but the point will never change. But if L suffix L changes, then this point either moves in this direction or in this direction. With respect to diagram, it looks like an easy process, but in practice, it is a difficult task. Let us say you are using a coaxial cable, you have to remove the jacket of the coaxial cable in this way. This is the center conductor, this is the outer conductor of the coaxial cable, and this coaxial cable is our stub. After separating the center conductor and outer conductor, now this center conductor is connected here and the outer conductor is connected here in this way. Now let us take a case if the load is changed. Since the value of L suffix L changes, you have to drill the hole here or else here. That means as long as the load impedance is same, a single stub matching network is a very good solution for us. But as the load value changes, we must change the position of the stub from one point to another point on the main transmission line. That is the reason we always use double stub matching technique instead of single stub matching technique in practice. In the next video, we shall do a problem on single stub matching technique, then we will proceed with double stub matching technique. Thank you.